Hey guys, today I'll show you a science fiction thriller TV series named Why the Last Man. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The drama begins with a cold and somber world, littered with the bodies of human males and male animals. The entire world has been paralyzed by this terrifying disaster. A mere 3 weeks have passed, and the situation is already this desperate. Just then, a small monkey enters the frame. Its owner, Yorick, removes his mask, revealing a healthy adult male. Yorick performs a small magic trick for the monkey, a moment of levity amidst the despair before starting to search for survival resources. Suddenly, the wreckage of a helicopter crashes down from a tall building. Thanks to Yorick's quick reflexes, he saves his monkey from being crushed into a pulp. Packing up the cage, Yorick gets ready to continue his journey of survival. His story begins 3 weeks earlier. At the time, Yorick was a second-rate escape artist. His tricks couldn't even fool children, and he was less popular than his pet monkey. Of course, he was skilled at simple tricks like escaping from handcuffs and ropes, but he could hardly make a living with such skills. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., Congresswoman Jennifer is being interviewed by reporters. As one of the president's rivals, Jennifer is one of the most powerful women in the nation. Her perfectionism and formidable abilities have earned her the admiration of her assistant. As you might guess, Jennifer is Yorick's mother. Yorick also has an older sister, Hiro. Despite his accomplished parents, Yorick lives in poverty, relying on Hiro for living expenses. Hiro's own life isn't much better. She attends a support group for emotional healing. Although she is financially better off than her brother, her money doesn't grow on trees, and any loan to Yorick is as good as gone. This time, however, Yorick is borrowing money for something big. He plans to propose to his girlfriend Beth that night. Hiro scoffs at the idea, telling him he can barely feed himself and should think about finding a stable job before marriage. But despite her complaints, she still gives him some money to help. The scene shifts to another state, where the cool-headed Agent 355 is making a time bomb. Her partner is a black market dealer, and their clients are members of a domestic terrorist group. It's hard to imagine the consequences of such a large bomb falling into the hands of these extremists. When the clients arrive, Agent 355 retreats behind the scenes, not participating in the transaction. She changes her clothes in a room, climbs out the window, and walks down the street to a safe distance, where she detonates the bomb. But Agent 355 is no righteous superhero. She's a secret government agent responsible for these kinds of covert operations. Secret agents take orders directly from the president, who is currently at a shooting range. His aide, Kimberly, is worried about Jennifer's recent media attacks, but the president seems unconcerned. He casually invites Kimberly to take a shot, and she, not daring to refuse, reluctantly fires a single round. Elsewhere, an author and mother of 3 sons has released a new book on how to cultivate masculinity in boys. Her parenting advice is popular among mothers of sons. Incidentally, the author is a staunch supporter of the current president. At this point, no one has yet noticed that a growing number of male animals are starting to die, bleeding from their orifices. That evening, at a high-end state dinner, the president arranges a private meeting with Jennifer through his aide. Political rivals meet, and sparks fly. The president accuses Jennifer of slandering him as a misogynist, while Jennifer retorts that he is indeed quite chauvinistic. While Jennifer and the president trade barbs, her children are having a rough time. Hiro, a paramedic, is having an affair with her married partner. He suddenly tells her that he has confessed everything to his wife and will be getting a divorce so they can be together openly. Yorick is also preparing to take a major step in his relationship. He makes a candlelit dinner for his girlfriend Beth, and they have a wonderful time. However, his mood sours when he learns that Beth is being transferred to Australia for work. Having decided to propose, Yorick goes all in, telling Beth he wants to go to Australia with her and then proposing on the spot. Beth is completely shocked. She had assumed they would part amicably and never expected this. Thinking about Yorick's lack of practical skills and his inability to support himself in Australia, Beth has to refuse. Yorick realizes he was never part of her future plans. They have a huge fight and part on bad terms. On the same night, Agent 355 returns to her safe house. She erases all traces of her presence, preparing to be redeployed back to the capital. No one is aware of the terrifying catastrophe about to unfold. Jennifer's assistant is on standby chatting with her boyfriend. Everything seems normal. Suddenly, a police horse gallops through the street, terrifying drivers. What follows is even more horrifying. A tide of countless rats swarms across the ground, leaving behind a field of bloody dead bodies. The state dinner is still in progress. Jennifer pulls her husband aside for a private chat. They are both troubled by their underachieving son. However, their marriage is in even worse shape than their son's life. Jennifer has already decided to divorce him soon, but they will not make it public until after her election. Yoro is unaware of her parents' impending divorce. She has just been intimate with her married lover and is eager for him to get divorced. After a brief conversation, she notices his evasiveness. Sure enough, when he steps out to relieve himself, she sees a message on his phone. The scumbag hadn't told his wife anything. Yoro is furious. Although she never had high hopes for this kind of man, being deceived still enrages her. The man drops his pretense and they begin to argue fiercely. Yoro gets angrier as they trade insults, which soon escalates to a physical struggle. She shoves his muscles hard and grabs a heavy object, accidentally slitting his chicken throat. As a paramedic, Yoro knows instantly that he won't survive. In a fit of rage, she has made a terrible mistake, destroying her own life and his family. In reality, however, Yoro didn't need to worry too much, because whether she killed him or not, the man was not long for this world. Just then, a patrolling police officer approaches the vehicle. He knocks twice on the window and then suddenly goes silent. Confused, Yoro gets out of the car to find him collapsed on the ground. Meanwhile, Agent 355 has arrived at the Pentagon to report for duty. But even the world's most powerful building is not immune to this horrific plague. Jennifer is preparing materials for an upcoming meeting, ready to launch a verbal assault, but a series of urgent messages interrupts her plans. Many countries are pleading with the president for help, as something terrible seems to be happening. As the president is speaking, his nose starts to bleed. He then coughs up a mouthful of blood and collapses. Other men inside the Pentagon also begin bleeding and falling to the ground. In the streets, in homes, wherever there are men, there is death. It's as if a twisted Thanos has snapped his fingers, and all male creatures are bleeding to death, their desperate screams filling every corner. In the aftermath of such a disaster, the victims are all of humanity. Planes fall from the sky, and countless vehicles crash indiscriminately. Mothers lose their sons, daughters lose their fathers. For a time, it's impossible to tell whether the dead or the living are in more pain. The strong-willed Jennifer is the first to recover. She begins directing the remaining government agencies to restore function. They suspect a mysterious biochemical attack by an enemy nation. As they prepare to evacuate, they discover that Air Force One has already crashed. Jennifer tries her best to hide her panic, reassuring the civil servants and organizing a response. Meanwhile, Yorick is groggily woken up by his monkey. He habitually calls out for his girlfriend, but of course there is no answer. His phone has no signal, and the sounds of screams and crying from outside paint a scene of the apocalypse. This mysterious plague sweeps the globe, killing all mammals with a Y chromosome in a single day. However, Yorick survived for unknown reasons. 8 days after the event, Secret Agent 355 returns to a safe house where the bodies of her comrades lie. She covers them and tries to contact her headquarters, but there is no response. She then takes a necklace from a box, puts it on, and prepares to report for duty. By now, the entire country is in chaos, and Washington is no exception. A mob of protesters has surrounded the White House. In reality, the remaining government officials are inside the Pentagon, but the public doesn't care. They just need a place to vent their anger. Agent 355, having packed her things, walks into the Pentagon and reports to Jennifer, who has now become the President of the United States through the line of succession. Before the disaster, the agent had received an urgent order to return and protect the former president, but her superiors all died before explaining the details. Now, she must relay this information to the new president. The government is more fragile than ever, and with the public's anger over their lost loved ones, they could easily turn on their leaders. Jennifer has a monumental task ahead of her. Her first mission for her direct subordinate, Agent 355, is to find her daughter. 2 months later, an oblivious Yorick is still struggling to survive in the post-apocalyptic world. He's heard rumors about what happened and is so terrified that he never goes out without a gas mask, avoiding contact with anyone. Yorick's reaction is understandable. With countless men dying mysteriously, it's a wise choice for a survivor to hide from the world. But Yorick still has his mother, sister, and lover out there, so he must hide and scavenge while leaving messages trying to contact them. He isn't entirely alone. He has his little pet monkey for company, though the creature often runs off and causes trouble. One day, the pet monkey slips into a flooded subway station and disappears. Yorick can't find him in the water and heads to a dry cleaner to find some clean clothes. To his surprise, the shop is occupied. The survivors are shocked to see him. In this new world, law and order have collapsed, and trust in strangers is at an all-time low. The survivors at the dry cleaner are extremely cautious, holding him at gunpoint until he gets on his knees and begs. After he proves he means no harm, one of them throws him some clothes and tells him to leave. After changing, Yorick returns to the subway station to wait for his monkey, who surprisingly finds his own way back. After retrieving the pet monkey, Yorick goes to his sister's apartment, but it's empty. With night falling, he decides to stay there. Coincidentally, Agent 355, under Jennifer's orders to find Hero, also arrives. Yorick, thinking it's a burglar, tries to fight back but is easily subdued. Agent 355 quickly contacts a helicopter to transport Yorick back to the Pentagon. Jennifer never dreamed she would see her son again in a world without nasty men. The agent immediately takes the helicopter pilots into custody. News of Yorick's survival must not get out, especially since the only living male is the son of the U.S. president. If this were to leak, it would inevitably lead to conspiracy theories and major trouble. But Yorick is not so politically astute. He only knows that a lot of men have died and has no idea that he is the last one. That night, an unguarded Yorick is again chasing his monkey through the building when a woman hears the noise and follows. In a hall, Yorick sees a memorial wall created by the survivors and feels a wave of sadness. He finally catches his pet monkey in an abandoned office, where the woman finds him. Fortunately, the woman is mentally unstable due to the trauma of the event, and Jennifer manages to dismiss it as a hallucination. Agent 355 and Jennifer quickly take Yorick to a room and sternly warn him not to wander around. It's only then that Yorick learns that he and his pet monkey are the last two mammals with a Y chromosome in the world. This, of course, includes his father. The news devastates Yorick, making him even more desperate to find his sister and his lover. Logically, Yorick should stay in a safe place, but he doesn't believe he's the only man left. And with mobs of protesters surrounding the Pentagon, the consequences of him being discovered would be catastrophic. In Russia, the government's announcement that key leaders were still alive caused the public to storm government buildings, plunging the country into even greater chaos. One can only imagine the fallout if Yorick's existence were revealed. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, a woman finally awakens from a coma. Upon hearing that all men are dead, her first words are that she is now the President of the United States. It turns out she is a high-ranking government official whose place in the line of succession is higher than Jennifer's. She had been presumed dead after falling into a coma because her driver was male. Although the Pentagon is still functioning, a power struggle is brewing within. The author, who had 3 sons and is also the daughter of the late president, has suffered immensely in the disaster. Because Jennifer, an opposition party member, took office through succession without an election, the author feels it's an injustice to her father. She begins contacting members of the former ruling party and their relatives, preparing to reclaim power. The former president's aide, Kimberly, is at home with her daughter, also in a miserable state after losing her husband and son. Her daughter sees crows eating the remains of her father and brother. She grabs a shovel to chase them away, but falls and badly cuts her leg. Kimberly buries her husband and son and leaves the sorrowful place with her injured daughter. With the former ruling party making moves, Jennifer isn't idle. After reviewing countless files, she selects the most brilliant female biologist, Dr. Allison. Biologists are now high-priority individuals, and a sudden summons would arouse suspicion. Therefore, Agent 355 must take Yorick to Dr. Allison so she can study why he survived. Although Yorick only wants to find his girlfriend, he knows he must obey his mother's orders for the greater good. By now, the former ruling party members know that a higher-ranking official is still alive. The author gathers a large group to confront Jennifer, and the situation is grim. Given the circumstances, getting Yorick out of the Pentagon is the best option. Jennifer immediately orders Agent 355 to take him away. The agent finds the 2 female pilots again, informs them of the president's secret mission, and presents them with medals. This flight is a matter of life and death for all of humanity, and no award is too high. The pilot's sense of military honor compels them to accept the mission. Yorick packs his things, reluctant to leave his only living relative, his mother, for an uncertain future. He believes there must be other men alive and that someone else might be better suited for the study. Of course, he can only complain. He must fulfill his duty. To get out of the Pentagon undetected, Yorick must hide in a body transport vehicle among corpses. He is extremely reluctant, but Agent 355 forces him into the pile of bodies and they successfully sneak out. Jennifer acts as if nothing is wrong, calmly handling government affairs. With most power stations down, she must persuade a retired electrical expert to return to work to ensure the Pentagon's power supply. Under her persuasion, the disheartened expert's will is restored, and she agrees to take over the power station. After the meeting, Jennifer meets the author at the memorial wall. Here, they are no longer political rivals. The author assumes they are both grieving mothers who have lost their sons, never imagining that Jennifer is the only mother in the world who has not. The author, who had 3 sons, believes that grief can be quantified, and she is undoubtedly in the most tragic category. Although Jennifer is also suffering, she at least still has a daughter. One can only imagine what outrageous things the author might do if she knew the truth. This underscores how right Jennifer was to send her son away. On their journey, Yorick and Agent 355 are in one helicopter, while the two pilots fly another as an escort. Midway, the escort helicopter suddenly crashes and explodes. With a determined look, the agent tells Yorick not to panic as they speed towards their destination. The scene shifts to Hiro and her friend Sam, having teamed up to survive in the post-apocalyptic world. You might wonder how there can be a male in their group. Sam is a transgender man, but since he doesn't have a Y chromosome, he did not die, even after transitioning with medication. Still, Sam must be careful. In a world without cisgender men, the situation for trans men is more dangerous than ever. With the scarcity of testosterone, other trans men soon take their supplies, leaving Hiro and Sam to fend for themselves. They must rely on each other to survive. Meanwhile, with their helicopter out of fuel, Yorick and Agent 355 land near Boston, preparing to continue to Harvard on foot. The agent salvages parts from the helicopter to trade for other supplies. Yorick, however, is not as meticulous. He frequently pulls out his phone to gaze lovingly at a picture of his girlfriend. Annoyed by his lovesick behavior, the agent tells him to take off his clothes so she can wash them by the river. Yorick mistakenly thinks she has ulterior motives and is shy about undressing, but Agent 355 is completely indifferent and ignores him. While washing clothes, she spots a wild rabbit and is about to hunt it when a noise from their camp catches her attention. She turns to see two survivors eyeing their tent. While they are no match for her, she doesn't want to use violence. For once, Yorick is useful. Wearing his gas mask, he rushes out and scares the two away. But the agent is not grateful, warning him not to do such a foolish thing again as it could easily expose him. Next, they go to a local market, which has everything. Simple machinery is valuable, while electronics are almost worthless. The agent tries to trade the helicopter's generator for a motorcycle, but is refused. She then pulls out a grenade, and the owner reluctantly agrees to the trade. Just then, Yorick spots a woman from a distance who looks like his girlfriend. Without thinking, he grabs the pet monkey and runs after her, accidentally trespassing into the territory of the local leaders, a group of powerful former female police officers. They quickly subdue Yorick, who cleverly claims to be a transgender man. However, his male monkey gives him away. Just as the officers are about to take the monkey, Agent 355 appears. Though the officers are skilled fighters, they are no match for the agent. She quickly takes them all down, and the two make a run for it. The officers fire after them, accidentally hitting the shop owner. Agent 355 seizes the opportunity to steal a Tesla motorcycle, and they finally escape. Once they reach a safe place, Yorick tries to explain that he thought he saw his girlfriend. He also lost his phone during the escape. Agent 355 is furious. It's the end of the world, and this idiot, the hope of all humanity, is still obsessed with his girlfriend. It's infuriating, but no matter how frustrated they both are, they have to get back on the road. After all, countless species are waiting for them to save them. The scene shifts to Hiro's storyline. After the disaster, many houses are empty, and they scavenge for supplies in uninhabited homes along the way. The world is no longer littered with corpses. Most have been cleared to prevent plagues. Hiro and Sam search the nearby area and find a working car at a farm. Sam wants to drive with Hiro to Washington, where their families are, but Hiro wants to rest for the night and leave the next day. Sam relents. They spend a quiet evening in a house they found, a rare moment of peace in this chaotic world. That night, Hiro can't sleep. While Sam is asleep like a snoring pig, she sneaks out to the farm under the cover of darkness. The next morning, Sam discovers the car won't start. It seems Hiro doesn't want to go to Washington to see her mother. Without transportation, they continue to search for supplies. The local supermarkets and malls have long been looted. Suddenly, they hear a noise. Following the sound, they find a little girl lying on a shelf. It's Kimberly's daughter. Hiro, a paramedic, immediately sees that the girl's leg is injured and wants to help. Just then, Kimberly rushes out with an axe, trying to drive them away. Sam disarms her from behind and explains they mean no harm. Hiro and Kimberly then tend to her daughter's wound. Due to a lack of supplies, although the girl's wound is treated and doesn't worsen, it has become infected, and she desperately needs antibiotics. In this post-apocalyptic world, all pharmacies have been looted, and such medicine is impossible to find. Hiro decides to try her luck at a nearby camp the next day to see if she can get some. The group then returns to their separate rooms. Hiro and Sam embrace, seeking a moment of hormone pleasure, while Kimberly, worried about her daughter, can't sleep and cries outside. Suddenly, they hear the sound of horses. The owners of the farm have returned. The people whose house they are staying in are alive, and they've come back for medicine to help a companion. Hearing this, Kimberly quickly tells them that Hiro is a doctor and can help. The newcomers soften their stance and lower their guns. They take Hiro's group to their camp, where a woman with a gunshot wound is dying. Hiro immediately begins surgery. She asks Sam for help, but the other women seem hesitant around him. However, with a life at stake, they don't press the issue and wait anxiously. Meanwhile, Yorick and Agent 355 have set up camp. Despite their earlier argument, they need to find a way to get along. The agent remembers Yorick is a magician and asks him to perform some tricks. Though Yorick is an escape artist and can't perform his specialty, simple card tricks are easy for him. Their relationship thaws during the performance. Sometime later, Hiro's surgery is over, but the patient's injuries were too severe, and she couldn't be saved. The group's leader asks everyone to step aside and puts the woman out of her misery with a single shot. She doesn't blame Hiro, who did her best. Instead, she offers to help Kimberly's injured daughter by providing antibiotics. Although some in the group object, the leader overrules them. She promises to take care of them until the girl recovers. Kimberly quietly tells Hiro not to mention who her mother is. It's then that Hiro realizes Kimberly knows her. When the leader opens the camp's gate, Hiro is stunned by the sight of a warehouse packed with supplies. This group is far more powerful than she had imagined. Agent 355 and Yorick finally reach Boston, parking their motorcycle in a hidden spot. They discover that the prestigious Harvard University now looks like a gang-infested neighborhood, covered in graffiti and trash. The government has dispatched its remaining military forces to patrol the area and maintain order. Many people believe the apocalypse was caused by a government conspiracy, so anarchism is rampant, and danger is everywhere. With Harvard under military control, Agent 355 has to leave Yorick behind while she uses her agent status to get inside the campus to find Dr. Allison. Claiming to be an Air Force sergeant needing rest, her military demeanor convinces the guards to let her in. Because Harvard has so many research labs, it has become a primary target for conspiracy theorists. The military is stationed there to protect the research facilities. However, Dr. Allison is not within the protected area, which complicates things for Agent 355. Meanwhile, Yorick, looking at the chaotic graffiti, starts to worry about his situation. He showcases his escape artist skills for the first time, easily picking the lock of a nearby gate with a simple tool. Once inside, he realizes it's not a safe hiding place but the headquarters of an anarchist group. Just as he's figuring this out, a rioter calls out to him. At that moment, the military begins a crackdown. Several rioters, hit by tear gas, rush inside to recover. Yorick helps them treat their eye injuries. He finds that these people are not unreasonable or violent, just lost and confused. His male features are obvious, but they assume he is a transgender man, and Yorick goes along with it, getting along with them well. After another close call, Yorick returns to the street corner where he started. Agent 355 finds him, and they continue their search for Dr. Allison outside the military-controlled zone. They arrive at Dr. Allison's residence, which appears to have been empty for a long time, though there's no sign she has died. Notably, there's a crib in her home, and on the wall above it are several photos of her at the Boston Union Club. The club's membership was predominantly male, and it has been abandoned since the disaster. The two open the locked doors and cautiously enter. Inside, they find signs of recent inhabitants. The club is historic and lavishly decorated, a tasteful choice for a hideout. As they are talking, someone attacks Yorick from behind. After subduing their assailant, they realize it's Dr. Allison. When Dr. Allison sees that both Yorick and his monkey are male, her expression changes drastically. If it were just Yorick, it could be a rare chromosomal anomaly, but with a male monkey as well, the situation takes on a whole new level of significance. The brilliant doctor instantly understands her mission. She tells them that to conduct the necessary research, they must go to San Francisco, not back to Washington. Because cloning research is ethically banned, the only place with a secret biological lab and a full set of equipment is there, making it the only suitable location in the world for this work. Yorick finally understands that his mother wants to clone his genes. Agent 355 treats the wound Yorick sustained from Dr. Allison's attack, and the three discuss their next move. Dr. Allison believes that with presidential authorization, they should be able to fly directly to San Francisco. The agent stresses to Dr. Allison the importance of keeping Yorick's existence a secret, fearing he would be torn apart by mobs if the news got out. The agent goes downstairs and takes out a satellite phone. She could contact Jennifer immediately, but instead, she breaks the antenna and uses it as an excuse to leave temporarily. It seems she's hiding a secret. Yorick is left behind, staring awkwardly at Dr. Allison. Previously, we learned that a high-ranking female U.S. official, the Secretary of State, had been in a coma in Israel and finally regained consciousness. Her place in the line of presidential succession is higher than Jennifer's. Back at the Pentagon, the impending return of the Secretary of State has Jennifer's provisional government on edge. News of the helicopter crash has reached the inside, and military leaders want to investigate. Jennifer orders the search team to operate in secret. The feedback she receives is shocking. The military can't even confirm which helicopter crashed. The president then whispers something to her assistant. In the restroom, the author accidentally spills the contents of her bag, revealing it's full of her son's toys, a sign of her unraveling mental state. The assistant comes in, and the author, having heard about the crash, assumes Jennifer sent people to find Yoro and doesn't think much of it. She then notices the assistant seems unwell. Upon asking, she learns that the assistant is pregnant but appears to be miscarrying. The author rushes her to a doctor. An examination reveals it was just some bleeding, and the fetus is fine. Furthermore, the assistant is having a girl who should be born without complications. After so much bad news, the prospect of a new life brings them all a sense of relief. Meanwhile, Agent 355, having made an excuse to leave Yorick, rides to a mysterious address. It's the only clue left by her secret agent organization. If she can contact her superiors, she might learn something about the disaster. After circling the building, she carefully climbs to the second floor and enters through a window. Hearing a noise, she draws her gun. Sure enough, another person is pointing a gun at her. The agent finds an opening to disarm her, and they engage in a fierce fight. This time, the formidable agent doesn't win instantly. It's an even match. After a struggle, they both draw their guns again. Her opponent is the first to lower her weapon and de-escalate. Agent 355 does the same. It turns out they are both secret agents who followed the address to find a female superior. Instead of finding their boss, they ended up in a fight. Like Agent 355, this other agent was also urgently recalled to Washington the day before the disaster. The organization's leadership clearly knew something. Although they didn't find their superior, the safe house is well stocked with weapons. Agent 355 resupplies and prepares to continue escorting Yorick. Back at the club, Yorick feels awkward being alone with the doctor. He looks at the humorous graffiti on the walls and finds it a bit funny. Although Dr. Allison hasn't seen a man in a long time, she is a lesbian and has no romantic interest in him. They then talk about cloning. Dr. Allison explains that the research should ideally be completed before Yorick turns 40, as a man's reproductive state, particularly his genetic material, declines after that age. Even if not completely damaged, it will be significantly degraded. Yorick doesn't know what to say, and their conversation feels like two people talking past each other. Meanwhile, Jennifer is taking deep breaths, trying to manage her stress. Agent 355's lack of contact is making her extremely anxious. Fortunately, the investigation of the crash site reveals the deceased were two female pilots, which brings her some relief. Even so, she remains on edge. It seems Agent 355 killed the pilots, an act that was not authorized by the president. Not knowing the agent's background, she orders an investigation starting with the Secret Agents Unit. On the day of the Secretary of State's return, she enters the Pentagon flanked by a military escort looking imposing. Jennifer exchanges reluctant pleasantries with her and shows her to her quarters. The author visits the Secretary of State. Although they are from the same party, their political views differ and they don't get along. The secretary's first move is to challenge the author's position within the party. They trade thinly veiled insults. Jennifer's arrival interrupts their conversation, and the focus immediately shifts to the rivalry between Jennifer and the secretary. It's clear Jennifer doesn't want conflict, but the secretary sees things differently. She is aggressive, seemingly ready to devour any political opponent. A brutal political struggle is about to begin. That night, a drunk Yorick and Dr. Allison play pool. In his inebriated state, even the clumsy Yorick can converse smoothly with the doctor. She tells him that on the day of the event, hundreds of thousands of women with Y chromosomes also died. Furthermore, countless other women died in planes, at bus stations, and on operating tables. Combined with the devastating loss of other animals and plants, it was an extinction-level ecological disaster. Yorick agrees. He then asks about the crib in her home, but the doctor says she has no children. It's just for decoration. Just then, Agent 355 returns with a bag full of weapons. She lies, saying Jennifer has ordered them to head to the lab in San Francisco. The three prepare to leave. In the agent's bag, an unactivated tracking device blinks with a red light. The scene shifts to three riders in black tracking Agent 355, asking about her whereabouts along the way. The agent's group has been on the run for a while, but without transportation, they haven't gotten far. They come across a memorial gathering for the dead. Coincidentally, there are several transgender men in the crowd, so Yorick takes off his mask and joins in. Agent 355 is annoyed that he's wandering off again, but he's been cooped up for so long without any entertainment. With music and food at the gathering, Yorick can't resist stopping. Unbeknownst to them, their pursuers have arrived. The three riders enter the gathering, showing a photo and asking about Agent 355. She stealthily grabs one of the photos and sees her own face on it. She quickly pulls Yorick and Dr. Allison away to escape. The three flee to a nearby church where Agent 355 admits she never contacted Jennifer and speculates that their pursuers might be government soldiers. Yorick is shocked, but the agent refuses to discuss it further. She must prepare for the potential threat ahead. Back at the Pentagon, the memorial wall is the only place where people can interact peacefully. The Secretary of State and the author chat about their family lives before the disaster. The Secretary's single-minded focus on politics is due to her being unmarried and having few male relatives. The author, though the daughter of a former president, holds no official position and must rely on the secretary to lead the charge in their political battle. The secretary readily accepts the responsibility, but does so subtly, remarking on how difficult it will be to challenge Jennifer's current position. The author understands and shares her observations from the past few weeks. At night, Yorick wakes up and sees a figure standing on the second floor. It's Agent 355, crying in her sleep while sleepwalking. Yorick gently guides her back downstairs. Meanwhile, Hiro's transgender friend Sam is being ostracized by the secret organization. No one seems to want to talk to him except Hiro, who occasionally keeps him company. Kimberly and her daughter are forced to listen to the women in the group share stories of how awful and nasty men are. The leader concludes the session by declaring that all men are potential murderers. Kimberly can't stand it and wants to leave with her daughter, but the leader refuses. Completely disregarding that the girl has just lost her father and brother, she tries to force her to believe all men are perverted monsters. Kimberly quickly intervenes, but the woman's only response is that Kimberly might not be able to protect her daughter that way. Just then, the bottles and cans set up as an alarm start to rattle, signaling an intruder. Everyone grabs a weapon and goes outside. The intruders are just a desperate mother and an old woman with a child, but to the woman, they are nothing but burdens. The mother begs her to take just the little girl, but the leader refuses and sends them away. The members of her group witness this and feel lucky and grateful to be part of it. Later, Kimberly privately brings the leader a cup of tea. Fearing she could be kicked out at any moment, she pretends to start accepting her ideology. In response, the leader takes off her shirt, revealing to Kimberly's surprise that she only has one breast. It turns out the woman was a member of the Amazons, a radical, man-hating cult. Legend has it that Amazon warriors would cut off one breast to improve their archery. The cult leader actually did this to show her commitment to hating men. Even now, with men extinct, she constantly talks about how everything is men's fault. But with no other options, Kimberly has to pretend to accept her beliefs. Meanwhile, the other members of the Amazon cult begin to bathe together. The communal bathing makes Hiro feel uncomfortable. The women notice Hiro is always preoccupied and seems unable to accept her past. Taking advantage of the candid atmosphere, they try to counsel her, telling her that the source of all evil is gone and she can now love herself. Hiro seems thoughtful. Sam, of course, cannot join them. A more level-headed member of the group approaches him, pretending to hate men, but excitedly striking up a conversation when they are alone, telling him about an initiation ceremony that night. Now back to Yorick. Dr. Allison realizes the pursuers are after Agent 355 and suggests she and Yorick leave her to handle the trouble alone. But despite his flaws, Yorick is loyal and refuses. Although Dr. Allison still distrusts Agent 355 for hiding so much, she has no choice but to go along with Yorick's decision. Yorick then asks the agent how they will fend off the pursuers. She tells him and Dr. Allison to sleep in the basement and do nothing. Yorick insists on taking turns on watch to share the burden, mentioning that Agent 355 could have fallen and died during her sleepwalking episode the previous night. The proud agent becomes even more adamant, telling him not to make trouble and to go to sleep like a good boy. This unprovoked scolding infuriates Yorick, and he suddenly thinks Dr. Allison's idea wasn't so bad after all. Maybe they should leave on their own. The situation in the Pentagon is equally perilous. Hiro's former assistant is under immense pressure. The author sees her and greets her warmly, showing a particular interest in her unborn child. However, the assistant isn't ready to be a mother, especially in these chaotic times. The author becomes even more insistent, offering to raise the child for her. Having lost 3 children, this mother is on the verge of a breakdown and won't miss the chance to raise another child. While the author's transformation is somewhat understandable, what happens next is more puzzling. That night, the cult leader holds an initiation ceremony to welcome a new member into the Amazons. The newcomer strips naked while the members bathe her in mud, symbolizing a farewell to her past past and her rebirth as a glorious Amazon. The bizarre scene unnerves Sam and Kimberly. After the members wash the mud off the new recruit, she seems genuinely reborn, officially joining them. Sam can't watch anymore and leaves. The level-headed member follows, warning him to at least pretend to fit in, but another member sees them, and she is immediately called away for a private chat. As for the Secretary of State, the military seems to have a closer relationship with her party. The soldiers report their sighting of Agent 355 and her two companions to the Secretary first. President Jennifer finds out later. The pursuers have already caught up to the agent's group and are on standby. An officer gives the order to move in. Agent 355, alone on watch, stares at the campfire and suddenly realizes something is wrong. Although Jennifer tries to stop the soldiers from attacking, with the Secretary of State interfering, the attack proceeds. Yoro and Dr. Allison have already left on their own. As they walk, they begin to have second thoughts. Just as they are hesitating, the pursuers spot them and follow. But they are ambushed by Agent 355, who has been waiting for them. A firefight ensues. Hearing the gunshots, Yoro and Dr. Allison flee and get separated in the chaos. The agent first neutralizes the soldier near Dr. Allison, then catches up to Yoro and takes down the last pursuer. She then smashes their satellite phone, cutting them off from the Pentagon. Everyone is terrified, but the agent doesn't kill them. She just has Yoro burn their boots to slow them down. Yoro tries to apologize for his recklessness, but Agent 355 brushes it off, only stressing that she is in charge until they reach San Francisco. Since the agent is a secret agent reporting directly to the president, her actions are tantamount to treason, giving the Secretary of State more ammunition against Jennifer. The two no longer bother with pleasantries, and the situation becomes tense, ready to explode at any moment. Finally, we check back on Yoro. That night, she is smoking alone when the cult leader approaches her, sharing stories from her past. Unlike the others, the cult leader is very keen on having Yoro, a doctor, join the Amazons. As they talk, Yoro opens up about her affair with the married man and the accident where she killed him. Hearing this, the cult leader sees her chance. Yoro is now ripe for indoctrination. Meanwhile, the member who was seen talking to Sam is being beaten and abused by the other fanatical members. Kimberly watches the madness, unsure of what to do. The scene shifts to Agent 355 refueling an RV. Dr. Allison gives Yoro a routine checkup. Once ready, the three hit the road. The agent has been under immense psychological pressure, and with Yoro and Dr. Allison being liabilities in this new world, she is exhausted. Fatigued driving is dangerous, and even a highly trained agent can make a mistake. She crashes into a tree stump, and the RV flips. Dr. Allison wakes up first. She checks on Yoro, and upon seeing the precious cargo is alive, she breathes a sigh of relief. But the agent, who was in the driver's seat, is gone without traces of her smell. Just as Dr. Allison is panicking, an armed convoy arrives, but they are not friendly. They immediately point their guns at her. Back at the Pentagon, the soldier who was subdued by Agent 355 has returned and reported for duty. She is certain she saw a man with Agent 355, and he had a monkey. Jennifer quickly tries to cover it up, suggesting the soldier might have been mistaken and it was probably a transgender man. But the combination of Agent 355 and Dr. Allison makes it hard to believe they were just following a trans man. Jennifer quickly changes the subject, telling the soldier not to spread the story to avoid public unrest, and then abruptly ends the meeting. The former president's wife and daughter are living in the Pentagon. The author constantly complains to her mother about Jennifer's presidency, but her mother has lost the will to live. Having lost her husband and grandson, she just wants to lie in bed and binge-watch Daniel C.C. TV series. Outside the Pentagon, a mysterious woman is approaching. The scene cuts to Yoro waking up in a bed naked with a strange woman, Sonia, lying next to him. The scene startles Yoro. He quickly covers himself and cautiously looks for his companions. He finds several women gathered around the pet monkey. Yoro grabs a weapon, but he is spotted and taken to a room. He's in a peaceful, serene town with water, electricity, and food. A paradise in the post-apocalyptic world. Yoro tells the women that the monkey is also male, which surprises them, but only mildly. Besides Sonia, the other women seem uninterested in the fact that he's the last man. Agent 355 and Dr. Allison have been locked up because they looked like they had kidnapped Yoro and were considered dangerous. Agent 355 has a wet dream. She wakes up in the woods after the crash and sees a vision of the car accident from her childhood that killed her entire family. When she truly wakes up, she is in a cell with Dr. Allison. She sits up and asks about their situation. The brief period of unconsciousness was probably the best sleep she's had recently. Now, feeling slightly better, she begins to plan their escape. Meanwhile, Jennifer is at the perimeter fence trying to calm an angry mob. They need a target for their frustration, and the Pentagon is the perfect choice. Jennifer sees a familiar face in the crowd and takes a risk, going out to greet her personally. The person is Yorik's long-lost girlfriend, Beth, who has made a long and difficult journey to get here. After the disaster, Beth's sick mother passed away, and the only family she has left is her boyfriend's. Jennifer's expression is complicated. Beth explains that she didn't have the courage to go back to find Yorik, afraid she would find his body. After hearing about her arduous journey, Jennifer invites her in for a proper meal. Beth firmly believes the disaster was man-made. She also tells Jennifer about Yorik's proposal, which she had rejected. Beth regrets that their last moment together was a fight. She then casually asks if Jennifer has searched for Yorik's body. To protect her secret, Jennifer says she couldn't bear to look. Meanwhile, the author and the Secretary of State are discussing the soldier's report. When they mention the man with a monkey, the author's mother is stunned. It turns out she was the woman who saw Yorik when he was chasing the pet monkey in the first episode. At the time, Jennifer had dismissed it as a hallucination. Now, it's clear Jennifer was hiding the truth, and the man was undoubtedly her son, Yorik. The secretary and the author become frantic, eager to expose Jennifer. However, they are rational enough to know they cannot leak this information to the public. The author, a devout Christian, now sees Yorik as a chosen savior. But they both agree on one thing: Jennifer must be overthrown. Later, Jennifer is in the command center when Beth, with nowhere else to go, tags along. The assistant explains to Beth how the provisional government works, with offices converted into dorms and a small number of female soldiers providing security for the entire building. The pressure on everyone is immense. Just then, the author's distraught mother rushes into the office and, in front of everyone, accuses Jennifer of lying to her about the hallucination and laments that heaven chose such a terrible mother. Fortunately, her words are confusing to everyone else and don't reveal Yorik's existence. Only Beth looks thoughtful. Back to Yorik. After a hearty meal, he asks to leave the town with his companions, but the residents have no intention of letting him go easily. Yorik is terrified, thinking these nasty women want to do something strange to him, especially since he woke up naked. Sonia quickly explains that she only washed his clothes because they were dirty. Furthermore, they found a case of weapons in the RV. Since Yorik wasn't a kidnap victim, he could also be dangerous. By a unanimous town vote, Yorik is sent back to the prison to join his companions. Agent 355's condition is not good. The usually tough agent suffers from dizzy spells and weakness, but she is still actively trying to escape. As they talk, Yorik is locked up with them. It turns out the women in the town are all former inmates of this prison, and they will now decide the trio's fate. Agent 355 knows they can't just wait. These inmates are unlikely to let them go. She sits in a corner preparing for a fight, her only weapon the shoelace from her boot. Yorik thinks it's absurd to try to fight their way through dozens of people with just a shoelace, especially with Agent 355 being injured. Seeing her determination, Yorik decides to fight her to prove she's in no condition to act rashly. An angry agent engages him and they clash, wrestling their muscles. It turns out Agent 355 really can take down Yorik with just a shoelace. However, right after, she leans against the wall and vomits, a clear sign of a mild concussion. Sonia opens the door to check on them. Seeing the agent injured and vomiting, she announces the town's decision. The three of them are free to go and can stay to recuperate if they wish. However, Agent 355 must leave as soon as she recovers. She then throws a bottle of medicine to her. It seems their fears were unfounded. They help the agent to a bed. The tough agent promises this will be the last time she needs to be taken care of. Yorik turns off the light to let her rest. Later, the town throws a bonfire party. Aboard, Yorik naturally joins in. There's barbecue, beer, and music. The quality of life is as good as it was before the disaster, and all of this is the result of a few dozen female inmates working together. It seems the old saying is true: prisons are full of talented people. Ironically, this place full of criminals is more peaceful and well-behaved than the den of politicians. Of course, some still hold a grudge against Yorik and his companions. When it's time for lights out, the party ends. Meanwhile, the author's mentally shattered mother is desperate to leave the Pentagon and go home. But the author tells her that the dam near their home has burst due to lack of maintenance, and they have nowhere to go but the Pentagon. Her mother falls silent. The author tries to comfort her, saying there is still hope for the world, that God has left a seed of hope in Yorik. But the once devout mother no longer believes in God and won't even pray for humanity for a second. After taking a shower, Beth says goodbye to Jennifer. She doesn't plan to stay the night, she only came to visit. She says she's living with friends and doing well. Jennifer doesn't press her to stay and says goodbye. In the early hours of the morning, the author, after praying at the memorial wall, returns to her room to find a note from her mother, who has jumped from the roof. The author's scream echoes through the Pentagon, waking Jennifer. Meanwhile, Beth gets into a car outside and, like a spy, begins to report intelligence about the Pentagon's interior to her companions. The scene shifts its focus to the Amazons. Their cult leader discovers a member trying to leave the group. When persuasion fails, she shoots and kills her, then feigns a look of sorrow. The cult leader runs back to their base, puts everyone on high alert, and starts mandatory self-defense and shooting training. She personally teaches the new members how to shoot at close range, and Hiro's performance earns her praise. After target practice, the cult leader once again spouts her theory about the evils of men. Even though men are extinct, they still practice by shooting at male mannequins. Hiro wants Sam to try shooting, but Sam, despite identifying as male, wants nothing to do with violence. He was a playwright before the apocalypse, a profession the cult leader scoffs at as useless in this new world, and she orders him to watch and learn. Inside, Kimberly's daughter is happily playing with the Amazon members. A senior member approaches Kimberly to deliver the cult leader's message. She and her daughter will have to leave and fend for themselves. Kimberly knows they won't survive long on their own and panics, begging the cult leader to let them stay. But the cult leader has no interest in caring for a mother and child. She only wants man-hating warriors, not weak women and children. She seems unconcerned about the little girl's fate. Kimberly is dejected but accepts the reality. The scene flashes back to before the Amazons were formed. The cult leader, acting as a police officer, storms a country house. The women inside are terrified. They had heard gunshots and only had baseball bats for defense. The woman, posing as a cop, invites them to a shopping mall, which would later become the Amazons' base, fully stocked with a generator and supplies. She tells them she's a homicide detective with experience in dealing with attacks and that the gunshots suggest they are being targeted. Those women had gathered because they were part of a domestic violence support group. Although the disaster freed them from their abusers, the sound of gunshots still makes them think the men have returned. The cult leader convinces them that their house has too many entrances and is unsafe, inviting them to stay and become her partners. The women readily agree, and this group gradually evolves into the Amazons of today. In the present, she asks Hiro to talk about the terrible men in her life. Hiro reluctantly agrees. Having already talked about her affair, she is forced to talk about her brother, Yoro. She says their parents were always stricter with her and more lenient with her brother. She admits her drug use and promiscuity played a part, but the cult leader seizes on this, accusing Yoro of not understanding Hiro's struggles and claiming all men are selfish. Hiro seems to be influenced by this. After the sharing session, Kimberly asks Sam to help convince Hiro to leave and go to the Pentagon. With Hiro's connections and Kimberly's own past work for the former president, they could find sanctuary there. But Sam doesn't trust Kimberly. Her political party is not friendly to transgender people. Frustrated, Kimberly realizes she's out of options. Sam returns to the mall and also asks Hiro to leave with him for a more normal place. To his surprise, Hiro has been gradually assimilated and no longer wants to leave. The Amazons are not kind to Sam. He complains about a cop playing therapist and making Hiro hate her dead brother, calling it a joke. But Hiro thinks the cult leader is right. She is also upset that another member had shown interest in Sam. In response, Sam confesses his love for Hiro, begging her to leave with him, but she remains unmoved. Heartbroken, Sam finally gives up. The cult leader comes out and tells him to leave. Sam doesn't argue and packs his bags that night. He takes some supplies on his way out and is caught by the cult leader, who doesn't mind and just wants him gone. The next day, Hiro is devastated to find Sam gone. The cult leader comforts her, telling her to let go of the past and fully embrace the Amazons. She then brings up her own ex-husband, who also abandoned her, blaming it all on men. To console Hiro, the cult leader throws a bonfire party that night. To kick it off, everyone throws things belonging to men into the fire. After a moment's hesitation, Hiro also throws Sam's clothes into the flames. They all dance around the fire as if it's burning away all their troubles. However, while the others are laughing, Kimberly is heavy-hearted. She must start planning for her and her daughter's future, but she has no idea what to do. Her daughter is unaware they are about to be cast out and doesn't want to leave, having made friends with some of the members. Kimberly watches her daughter with a broken heart. The cult leader never considered what a desperate mother might do. That night, with everyone asleep from alcohol, Kimberly takes a can of flammable liquid, pours a trail to the shopping mall, and sets it on fire. The mall's structure is simple and everyone inside escapes easily, but all their stockpiled supplies are destroyed. The camera flashes back again to just after the disaster. The cult leader is clearing a large pile of male corpses when she finds a Tesla police car and a Ferrari horse. Following the horse, she discovers the domestic violence support group living at the farm. She then steals a police uniform and badge and tries to sink the police car in a river, but it gets stuck halfway, frustrating her. A few days later, dressed as a police officer, she fortifies the mall with a barricade of trucks. Then, she hides in the fields of the farm and fires a few shots into the air to scare the women from the support group away. This leads to the scene we saw earlier. Back in the present, Sam finds shelter in a school and plays a couple of songs on a piano. The school's principal is still there, believing that one day children will return to class. Sam, thinking he's intruding, is about to leave but is kindly invited to stay. The Amazons are not having a good time. They assume a spark from the bonfire caused the fire and no one suspects Kimberly. With the mall destroyed, the group is on the verge of collapse. Kimberly takes the opportunity to approach Hiro, suggesting they team up and leave. But when Hiro hears she wants to find her mother Jennifer, she refuses. Kimberly has no choice but to go it alone. She had prepared a bag of supplies for herself before starting the fire. Just then, she sees a police light floating on the river. Looking closer, she finds the half-submerged police car and inside, the cult leader's supermarket employee ID. In an instant, Kimberly pieces it all together. The cult leader was never a cop. She was just a mall employee. Because the mall was in a suburban area, it wasn't looted in the first wave. Later, when people started raiding it, 2 armed women shot each other and died. The cult leader took their guns and killed anyone else who entered. As she killed more people, her confidence grew. But now, all of that is gone. As the cult leader is about to leave the ruined mall, Kimberly confronts her. Kimberly points out that the cult leader doesn't really hate men, she just created a persona to find common ground with the support group. The other women stayed not because they believed in her, but for the supplies in the mall. Without supplies, the group will fall apart. But in a post-apocalyptic world, there is strength in numbers, and Kimberly, with her PR background, knows how to truly manipulate people. She also has the cult leader's employee ID. Under Kimberly's threats and persuasion, the woman has no choice but to comply. She had been just a shift manager at the supermarket, a position she worked over a decade to get, and she didn't even have the power to fire a creepy male employee. The supermarket owner had covered up the employee's harassment and instead accused her of stealing discarded items, which genuinely made her disillusioned with men. With the mall now in ashes, Hiro is also at a loss. She and the other members are idly playing with a Ouija board. Just then, the cult leader steps out and rallies the group. She talks about having one breast removed due to breast cancer, a trial that cost her husband and health insurance, making her life miserable. But it didn't break her. Instead, she learned that the Amazons cut off a breast to shoot arrows farther. Similarly, this fire will not change anything. What didn't kill them will only make the Amazons stronger. The members cheer enthusiastically. The fully formed Amazon cult is born. The scene shifts to the injured Agent 355 undergoing physical therapy. She still experiences dizzy spells and flashes of her past. During her recovery, Yorick and Dr. Allison have integrated into the local town. These have been the most peaceful days since the disaster. Yorick begins to feel that most of the female inmates are not bad people. When the residents play music, Yorick starts dancing, and even Agent 355 joins in at his prompting. Sonia, who has a crush on Yorick, watches with a hint of jealousy. Dr. Allison has also found someone she's interested in, a cool woman with an afro. Later, Sonia finds Agent 355's tracker and astutely senses that she is hiding something. She doesn't want the naive Yorick to be deceived by the bad woman. Agent 355 is speechless. Her agent training has made her emotionally detached, and she never imagined the lovesick Sonia's outburst was about this. Meanwhile, Hiro is wandering through a building filled with the sounds of men's voices, which are, of course, pre-disaster recordings. It's a memorial hall where people share stories of their old lives and find comfort in community. As Amazons, they cannot tolerate this nostalgia for the old world. After scouting the inside and confirming they are short-handed, Hiro signals for the cult leader's main force. Kimberly advises them to prioritize taking food, but the cult leader ignores her. After a rousing speech, she orders Kimberly to grab a baseball bat and join the charge. The cult leader leads the way, and the horde storms the camp. The frenzied Amazons ignore Kimberly's advice and smash everything in sight, venting their rage. This mob cares nothing for food or water. Their satisfaction is paramount. In comparison, the cult leader is more rational, only smashing the memorial hall's sound system. But in this new barter economy, intact equipment is essentially money. Kimberly is sickened by this wasteful destruction, but can do nothing. At the Pentagon, the author, still grieving her mother's death, and the Secretary of State are plotting to replace Jennifer as president. Jennifer's concealment of her son's survival and the suspicious deaths of the two pilots give them grounds for impeachment. The secretary knows many don't trust her, but with the support of the author, the well-liked daughter of the former president, her chances are much better. However, the heartbroken author lacks the energy for a political fight. It brings her no comfort. In the tunnels beneath the Pentagon, Beth, fully armed, is leading a team of anarchists on a secret infiltration. She plans to destroy the government, burying its corrupt systems in the past. They intend to use bombs to blast through the underground tunnels and storm the building. Jennifer and her assistant are unaware of the dual crises about to unfold. The assistant has just told Jennifer she is pregnant. Jennifer, like everyone else, is overjoyed. In this bleak world, a new life is a great blessing. Just then, two soldiers arrive and summon Jennifer. In the command center, the secretary and the author have already made their move. By the time Jennifer arrives, everyone knows Yorick is alive. The author blames her mother's death on Jennifer and points out that the assistant was also in on the secret, trying to force her onto their side. With no way to explain, Jennifer can only clear her assistant's name before admitting her son is alive and that she sent Agent 355 with him to find a geneticist at Harvard. But the others are outraged that she kept such a momentous secret from them. The author and a military officer add fuel to the fire, blaming the pilot's deaths on Jennifer. She has no defense. They all agree on one thing: she must step down. While the world is in turmoil, the center of power is consumed by infighting. It's no wonder people like Beth want to overthrow the government. They plan to blast through the tunnels and into the Pentagon itself. With Jennifer ousted, the officials now argue over who should be acting president. A soldier reports an explosion in the basement, and everyone is ordered to evacuate to a safe area. Beth leads a team of dozens into the building, splitting into two groups, one to control the officials and one to destroy the generators. The terrified, high-ranking officials are clueless. Most of the military is outside maintaining order, and the small force inside is no match for the well-prepared anarchists. Ridiculously, they are still arguing about who's in charge and fail to come up with an emergency plan. After the generators are destroyed, they are left in the dark. Beth, familiar with the layout, quickly finds and captures them all. The officials surrender and are put in shackles at the mercy of the anarchists. As a captive, Jennifer looks at Beth's face with mixed feelings. She knows she must not let them find out about Yorick. The anarchists want the Secretary of State to dismiss the soldiers on the radio. But as soon as she gets the radio, the author shouts that they've been taken hostage and to send help. An anarchist slaps her and demands the real president speak. Jennifer reluctantly steps up, warning them that there are 1,000 soldiers in the building and that as president, she can help them escape. At this critical moment, the Secretary of State interjects, claiming she is the president, completely ignoring that Jennifer holds the information the anarchists want. Unable to determine who is in charge, they decide to take all the officials with them. They then set fire to the command center, destroying all of Yorick's records. During the transport, the power-hungry Secretary of State keeps insisting that Jennifer is unfit to be president for hiding her son's survival. An annoyed anarchist soldier simply shoots and kills her as a warning to the others to follow orders. Beth is shocked by this brutality, but is also intrigued by what the secretary said. Meanwhile, the Amazons, fresh from their raid, are suddenly talking about Hero's past, praising her as a great Amazon warrior for killing her boyfriend. Hero had only told the cult leader about this and is very upset that it's being discussed openly. Kimberly approaches her and talks about her own marriage, saying her anger towards her husband is an important part of who she is, a motivation to keep fighting and living. This resonates with Hero. Kimberly then advises her not to tell the cult leader any more secrets, as she can't be trusted. Compared to his mother and sister, Yorick's life is relatively peaceful. He's sipping a drink while Sonia makes small talk, clearly interested in him. But the oblivious Yorick doesn't reciprocate her advances. His heart still belongs to Beth. Their conversation turns to the grim past. Back then, nearly all the prison guards had died, and Sonia and the other inmates were left to die in their cells. They had to fight the remaining female guards to survive. By now, Agent 355 has almost recovered. She and Dr. Allison discuss the research. After another conversation where they talk past each other, Dr. Allison decides to go flirt with the woman with the afro, hoping to spend the night with her. Her companions have their own desires and needs, but Agent 355's past was filled only with dehumanizing training. Years of indoctrination turned her into a cold machine. But with the old order gone, she too wants to live differently. She goes to the river and smashes the agent tracker. She will save the world her own way. Meanwhile, the Pentagon is in chaos as government forces launch a rescue operation. Smoke grenades and bullets fly, scattering the anarchists and the officials. An official who tries to mediate is shot. In the confusion, it's unsafe to go with either side. Jennifer chooses to leave with Beth. The author and the assistant find another way out. They encounter an anarchist, and the author kills her to protect the assistant. They then escape together. Back with the Amazons, they have reached a market where the cult leader hears rumors of a surviving man and plans to hunt him down. Kimberly thinks it's a waste of time and they should be gathering resources. They disagree again. Kimberly scolds a member for bringing back such useless intel, but the woman tells her that many people saw the man and his companions even injured someone. The man is said to be hiding in a nearby town with water and electricity. Hearing how pleasant the town is, Kimberly changes her mind. She apologizes to the cult leader, agrees with the plan to hunt the man, and suggests they take over the town. The cult leader shows her a sketch of the man. It's Yorick. That night, Beth and Jennifer escape the Pentagon. Once in a safe place, Beth gravely asks Jennifer if it's true that Yorick is still alive. The scene shifts to a flashback to Yorick's family's last dinner together before the disaster. Yorick is enthusiastically talking about his new magic trick concept. The idea is too obscure to be popular. He's using ropes, chains, and shackles in his act to represent the pressure from his congresswoman mother, professor father, and PhD girlfriend. Hiro notices he's left her out. Apparently, her ordinary job as a paramedic doesn't pressure him, but her brother's words, reflecting the pressure their high-achieving parents put on their less successful children, strike a nerve with Hiro. During the meal, their father is constantly on his phone, which for some reason irritates Hiro. She starts drinking heavily. Beth has just received her PhD and everyone is happy for her. The conversation naturally turns to Hiro's education. Her parents want her to pursue further studies, but she's not interested. Yorick tries to change the subject by bringing up Hiro's new relationship, but he doesn't realize her new boyfriend is a married man with a newborn baby. The atmosphere at the table becomes incredibly awkward. The father gets angry, but Hiro fires back, pointing out his own affair with a teaching assistant and his constant flirting, telling him he has no right to lecture her. This completely ruins the dinner. Jennifer is the first to leave, and the others lose their appetites. Hiro, having ruined the gathering, is left feeling regretful as their mutual friend Sam arrives just as Beth pulls Yorick away. Back in the present, Agent 355 is lying on the street of the prison town. She has been sleepwalking again and is only woken up by the town's mayor. Nearby, the cult leader and Kimberly have reached the town and see the road ahead is blocked by cars. The town is well defended. Inside the town, Agent 355 runs into Dr. Allison. Seeing her sleepwalking again, Dr. Allison suggests she tie herself to her bed, but the agent says she's tried. Her agent instincts allow her to escape even in her sleep. Neither of them notices they are being watched by Amazon scouts. Yorick is having breakfast with Sonia, talking about his love life. He gushes about Beth, but Sonia isn't interested. She just wants to know how many people he's slept with. When he says only Beth, Sonia is disappointed to learn he sees sex as such a big deal. The scouts return with intel on the town. It's well manned, and Kimberly believes they need a careful plan of attack. But the cult leader thinks they can win by simply charging in. Kimberly ignores her smelly bullshit and continues to strategize, but the cult leader insists that shooting their way in will be easy. Two armed women enter a swimming pool area, intending to use it as a base, but no sooner have they left than the Amazons take it over. From them, Hiro hears a rumor that the Pentagon has fallen and President Jennifer is dead. Outnumbered, the two women are quickly driven away, but their words leave Hiro reeling. Jennifer and Beth have escaped home. Beth wants Jennifer to disguise herself and leave Washington with her. Jennifer is baffled as to how her potential daughter-in-law became an anarchist. Beth can't explain it all now. She just wants to find Yorick and needs to keep Jennifer alive first. Agent 355 has fully recovered, and it's time for the trio to get back on the road. The town is throwing them a farewell party, but Yorick is reluctant to leave. This place has everything and is much better than being on the run. That night, under the cover of darkness, Beth plans to leave with Jennifer. As they are heading out, someone enters the house. They almost come to blows before realizing it's Sam. He came to find Jennifer to get help for Hiro. Just as they are reunited, another group arrives to arrest them. Elsewhere, the Amazons are having a pool party, but Yoro and Kimberly are not in a celebratory mood. One has just learned her mother is dead, and the other is worried about the next day's attack. The cult leader, however, is confident they will conquer the new territory. The prison town is also having a party to send off Yorick's group. Dr. Allison and Agent 355 are not in the mood to celebrate and have a heart-to-heart in their room. For the first time, the two Guardians share a warm, friendly moment. On their last night, Sonya makes her move on Yorick. Backed into a corner, he gives in, and they kiss and become intimate. The next moment, the person with Yorick is the author. It was all her dream. After escaping the White House, her main goal, besides protecting the assistant's baby, is to gather a group of women to use Yorick as a breeding machine. In the morning, Yorick wakes up next to Sonya. Though sad to leave, they must continue their journey for the future of humanity. Just then, Agent 355 finds a tracker on the windowsill, proof that the agent organization is still watching them. Meanwhile, the cult leader leads her followers in a fierce attack on the town. She expects them to fall as easily as the others, but the residents of this town are former criminals who have been to prison and escaped. They won't be so easily conquered. The town leader fires 2 shots into the air, and residents armed with guns appear from all directions. Hearing the gunfire, Agent 355 tenses up. She tells Yorick and Dr. Allison to escape from the other side while she confronts the enemy. She and the town's transgender residents pretend to surrender. The Amazons, thinking they've captured the man, lead them away. Yorick, Dr. Allison, and Sonya flee, but the sound they make is heard by Yoro, who follows them on horseback. Agent 355, taken to a secluded spot, fakes a leg cramp, easily takes out 2 of her captors, and returns to the town. The standoff between the cult leader and the mayor has reached a boiling point. With a few gunshots, a firefight erupts. The fighting skills of the town's residents are far superior to the Amazons. They are hardened criminals who killed guards to escape prison and are ruthless in a fight. The Amazons are quickly beaten back. Kimberly runs to her daughter and they luckily escape the first round of bullets. But the other members are not so fortunate. Half are dead or wounded. When Agent 355 joins the fight with a rifle, the Amazons have no chance. A desperate cult leader fires her pistol wildly at the agent but misses every shot. As she reloads, Agent 355 could execute her with a single shot, but Kimberly screams for them to surrender, saving most of the members. Only the brainless cult leader remains defiant, calling her followers weak cowards. As for Yorick's group, they are soon caught by Yoro on horseback. The siblings instantly recognize each other, but an unaware Sonya shoots and wounds Yoro's arm. Yorick stops her in time. The reunion is emotional. Yoro tells Yorick that their mother is dead like a piece of shit and urges him to flee from the Amazons. Just then, another Amazon member shoots and kills Sonya. Yorick is devastated. Yoro pushes the grieving Yorick to run and then shoots and kills the other Amazon, saving her brother. The captured Kimberly has reached her breaking point. She can no longer stand the cult leader's idiotic leadership. When Yoro returns to their base, she tells Kimberly that her brother is alive. Outside, the cult leader is shouting smelly insults, especially at Kimberly for being the first to surrender, calling her a symbol of female weakness. This time, Kimberly doesn't hold back. When it comes to verbal sparring, she is leagues ahead of the cult leader. She points out that the cult leader is no different from an abusive man, that everything she does is just a way to gaslight her followers. If the Amazons' enemy is men, then the first person they should kill is the one trying to control women with the same manipulative tactics. Kimberly's eloquent and truthful words cause the members to waver. She then pulls out a gun, points it at the cult leader, and sends her to her grave. The other members raise their guns but dare not shoot. With the highly respected Yoro also on Kimberly's side, they submit to her leadership. Elsewhere, Agent 355 finds a grief-stricken Yorick in a barn. The news of his mother's death and Sonya's death has made him give up. To comfort him, Agent 355 shares her own story for the first time. Her entire family died in a car crash, and if she could overcome that as a child, so can he. The three regain their resolve and prepare to continue their journey. Meanwhile, Jennifer, Beth, and Sam are locked in an interrogation room with a camera. Their captor is the same agent who fought Agent 355 earlier. This mysterious, secret organization is still pulling strings behind the scenes. Following the tracking signal, the agent finds a fully equipped and supplied vehicle, which even contains a set of lab equipment for Dr. Allison. The organization has left an address telling them to go there. This leg of the journey promises to be even more dangerous than the last. The story ends here. Due to its rather slow pacing, the entire season feels like it ends abruptly just as it's getting started. The cause of the disaster and the secret of Yorick's survival, these key mysteries have not even been hinted at, which is quite disappointing. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.